Welcome. You've splash landed into this Prosecco-laden podcast, straight into the woo-woo pool with the crew of Ohm-g. We're just a simple group of tragically imperfect and highly empathic BFFs, exploring a wide range of atypical topics with humor, grace, and curiosity. This is Ohm-g. Welcome. I have no real intro today, but it's all about getting to know you. You're here with the crew of
Ohm-g, the podcast. Welcome back, guys.
This is Chandra.
This is Camille.
This is Brenda Sue.
And this is Lynn.
And Aaron. And we're coming at you live from Brenda Sue's attic, which is actually a different place than we recorded our very first episode, where we introduced ourselves, talked about the purpose for why we wanted to start this podcast, which is still our driving force and goal, which is creating and cultivating a community of like-minded folks who are spiritually or woo-woo curious, or deep into the woo. Since we started this podcast about 3 years ago now, I think it's 3 years this summer, which is crazy. Wild and so cool. We have obviously gained new listeners and formed new community. We're starting to do community events this month, which is super exciting. And we've all changed a lot as people and as spiritual beings in those last 3 years. And we've had some folks that have come in and flowed out of the podcast. And we have Lynn with us now on the podcast. And so we just wanted to, for all of those reasons, I suppose, come back in and sort of reintroduce ourselves, kind of talk about, maybe touch back on like how we came to be as a group of friends and woo-woo, the woo-woo crew. For me, when I actually went back and listened to that first episode, and our audio was so atrocious compared to how it is now, thanks to
Kelvin.
Thanks to Kelvin. Shout out.
Yeah.
Shout advice. And to you guys, because you, Chandra and Brenda in particular, have like really worked on the audio stuff. So thanks.
Amen.
So let me interject right there, because that's just proof positive. Do it dirty.
Yeah.
Don't
do it.
Just do it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let the thing be the thing that stops you, because you can always make it better later.
100%.
But if you don't start, then you never get off that block. So
that's right.
That's just proof positive that
we
did it. We did it dirty, yo.
That's right. And now we're Mr. Cleaning it. I 3 years later, I'm still a middle school teacher as my muggle job, and still enjoying aspects of that. After having a personal one-on-one reading with Joanna the Healer, which all 5 of us have done at this point, back in November of last year, I really opened up my intuitive channel. She helped release a lot of blocks that I was going through. We can't recommend her enough for tons of reasons. And we helped, which this might be a different episode for more shit we've seen, but my husband and I helped a spirit crossover in our house. And there was sort of like some validation as we did, because the light in the room where she was sort of residing started to flicker. And so I just got this message that this is what you're going to do now. This is what you're going to start doing. There's a little crystal shop in the small town that I'm from and live in again. And I have been doing readings and sessions there for folks and communicating with their spirit teams, tuning into their energies, talking to dead people, y'all, which I never thought would happen. And I used to see myself as an energy vampire. And now sometimes, it's still a work in progress, see myself as a dragon. Thanks to all of you. Thanks to those of you listening at home. And thanks to Joanna. So I feel like I don't know, labels are weird, but I feel like I channel. I feel like I do intuitive mediumship type stuff, oracle readings, and I'm just empathetic, like very sensitive to energy in general, and have all sorts of interests. Channeled writing and channeled poetry is a really fun one that I like to do. Tuning into someone's energy and writing a poem for them and their specific energy, and just helping people heal, because it's not like, when doing this work, it's not just them healing. I'm healing part of layers of me too. So like we're both vibing a little bit higher. And Lynn recently has been sort of calling in more magical moments, like maybe for her specifically or as the group. But so I've been doing that each morning, asking myself to be present, to notice and recognize when they're happening in my daily life, magical moments. And I've only done it for the past 3 days. And it's like the universe is like, here you go, bitch. You know, like, I mean, just so many.
Ask and you shall receive.
And I am. So I'm so grateful. So again, this is Erin for those of you who might be new or newer. And that's just a little bit about me.
Oh, and one other thing. Aaron got a new label yesterday. He is now the local town witch.
That's right.
Yes.
Yes.
So that was your magical moment yesterday.
It was one of them for sure.
Yeah. And I love that because, you know, especially in that particular town, that's where I grew up from the age of 12 until I moved away. And it was so closed and conservative, and to see things opening up for people like us is just it's magical.
It is. And I just want to say real quick before we switch to someone else, growing up, because y'all know that Brenda and I are related by blood, you know, and I always saw her as like a role model of things that I wanted to do or be, but I never thought I had the gifts that she did. And so she ran so that I could walk. So thank you for listening.
I love you.
I love you.
How sweet.
I also think I got that backwards. I think it's you walked so I could run. But it's same sentiment.
Tomato.
Tomato.
One of y'all crawling, but go ahead.
That's right. So speaking of newness and reintroductions, if we move, is it clockwise, counterclockwise? I don't teach math or read clocks anymore. But Lin-Manuel Miranda, as I lovingly refer to her as, could you reintroduce yourself to the listeners?
Okay. Well, you know, what's funny is when we talked about this episode, I was at work one day and I was like, I better take some notes because do I really even know who I am? I do, but when I start talking about myself, I get really uncomfortable and then I can't remember who I am.
Because you're focused on the nervousness and
yeah. And I can talk about 400 other subjects, but when it comes to me, I'm like, I don't know. Y'all go ahead, and I'm just going to sit over here in the corner until I have something funny to say. But okay, so my notes is like, my name is Lynn.
My favorite color, yellow. I like broccoli. Bullet point list.
Exactly. But your Aries sextuplet.
Oh,
That's my new, I just came up with
I
that.
love
Aren't
that.
you proud of me?
I really love that.
That's a little scandalous.
Well, you know, I've got 6. What do you call them?
You got a stellium.
I have a stellium, but what do you call them? Placements? Like I have 6 placements in Aries.
Basically, you've got 6 planets
I have 6 planets
in Aries.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
that's who you are, boo-boo.
Yeah, in
100%.
one house. And so if you're my friend, you're really my friend.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all hear me?
Oh,
Amen.
shit.
Buckle up, buttercup.
I will friend y'all so hard y'all won't know what to do. So,
And it's such a blessing.
and you know what's okay? So me, I like to always point out stuff that I think people need to know about me, and that's that I don't always use the right words. So sometimes I'm talking and people look at me and they're like, "Oh, okay, she probably meant something different, but that's okay."
Bless her heart.
Bless her heart and all that. But so sometimes if I say something and I make any of y'all mad, y'all out there listening, y'all just let me know. It's probably, I didn't even mean it.
And also, get over yourselves. Why are you taking stuff so seriously?
Yeah, you shouldn't take me seriously. I was actually at a friend's house the other night or the other day, and she was like, "Oh, have you seen this birthday book?" And I was like, "I don't think so." Camille, do you know what I'm talking about?
do.
The birthday book?
Yes.
Because Camille being our resident astrologer. And I've never looked at it. And she was like, "Look your birthday up." And the day I was born under was the day of cosmic comedy.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, check, check, and check.
As
You
you
ha-
say, of course it was.
Of course it was.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm like, the universe, like, y'all think this shit's funny? Do you really? Let's look back on my life. Do y'all actually think that was funny?
And not to get deep, but you did choose this path. Anyway, you were saying?
It's true. And it is kind of funny when I look back on it. Like now I've learned to laugh about it, but you know.
Well, if we've learned anything on this podcast journey is there's nothing funnier than podcast drama.
That's right.
I mean, not podcast drama. Shoot.
Life drama.
Life trauma.
Life trauma.
Yeah.
But there's
Life
Yeah.
nothing
drama,
that
trauma.
Trauma induces the humor. There's
Yes.
nothing funnier than trauma-induced humor.
And maybe that's why I had to have the trauma, because I was born under the cosmic comedy day.
Mm-hmm.
You never know.
Big way to cope
Because
with
it did. But before I say anything else about myself, I want to mention a common trait that we all have in this room. And that
Wait, I want my attorney here.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Noted. Cam, out of the 5 of us, can afford an attorney. Okay, go on. Just kidding.
A trait that we all share is that every now and then we'll pop up at somebody's house or we'll meet here to like record, and somebody has a trinket for everybody in the group. And that happens a lot. Like I've got a black tourmaline on my nightstand that Brenda gave me just for no reason. Cam, I've got a keychain. She got us all that keychain, remember? Yes. And then Chandra got us all the little coasters. And then Aaron, like I've got an amethyst from Aaron because he just showed, like, we all have that in common. And so I think that's something important to point out is that we're all kind of alike in that way.
And you showed up with things today.
I'm literally holding this piece of clear crystal quartz that Lynn showed up with us.
We're like crows. We gift each other.
Exactly.
Yes.
Oh, we're a bunch of crows.
Shiny, pretty thing.
We're a murder of crows. We're a murderer. We're a murderer.
From coven to murder, one group story.
Tonight at 6.
Right. Who did? I love that, Lynn, because I've never really thought about that before.
Well, I didn't either, but I was getting ready to come down here today and I was like, oh, let me get those notebooks because I gave Brenda and Cam theirs last night because we had a little thing we went and did together last night. And I was like, oh, here, that's for y'all. And then I was like, wait a minute. I looked around my house and I was like, we all do that all the time. And it just never like clicked that we're all just like, we love each other.
We do.
So anyway, that's a trait we all have. So back to me. Because it's all about the Lynn. It's kind of true. But so I can't even remember what month I joined the podcast. It was, you asked me right before I went to Canada last year.
September, maybe?
It was like end of last summer.
It was the end. Yeah, it was when I came back from Canada, and I think that was like in August or something like that. Y'all,
it was a dark
or maybe you asked me before I went.
Yeah,
before I went. Yes, we were having prosecco.
Her passports were stamped and her headphones were on, and she slid right in.
Exactly,
she said.
Give that girl a mic. I hear Chandra say that many times.
Yeah, that's right.
I guess I've just been here since September, so not quite a year. So I don't know how much I need to reintroduce myself, but for those of you who don't know, I'm an Akashic record reader. I'm a Reiki master teacher, and I recently completed Melissa Sparrow's energy course, the intro course, and the master healing course. So now I'm doing shamanic and quantum healing since we started the podcast, or since I joined the podcast. So that's been interesting.
And you met Melissa because of the podcast.
Yes. And I met Melissa because of the podcast. And it is crazy. I got in Brenda's body a couple weeks ago.
That's a story for another podcast.
She is the only one in the 5 of us that can say that. And
so that's, a different story for a different day. But it's funny how much that I've grown since just joining the podcast and like having this support of all my friends around me, that a lot of times I will like text Brenda and be like, Brenda, am I crazy?
Yes.
Brenda's, yes, 1,000%. But
or I'll put in the group text and be like, y'all, I don't know. I don't feel right. Like something's wrong with me. Like, I don't know. Like, but it's just the growth that has been created from the community and the support. And I never realized that I didn't even know I was going to say this until just now, y'all. This ain't on my list. This is freestyling it. I'm going to start rapping. I'm going to start rapping like Eminem. Hold on.
Go for it, girl. 8 Mile. Go ahead.
Exactly. Y'all know music to be murdered by anyway, since talking about a murder. Right. Oh, I forgot what I was saying. I lost it.
This is the one that was on your list. You were freestyling.
Oh, yes. And I forgot what it was. That's something else about me is I can't remember anything.
You're talking about all the growth and
yes, all the growth that I've experienced since joining a community, because I've never actually had this in my life. The community that I had was either don't tell anybody, you really shouldn't probably say that in public. You're going to be judged. That's not right. So even with all that, I was growing, but it didn't like really take off until I met this lovely group of people. Thank you, Grandma Ruby.
Yeah.
And since then, it's like I actually probably don't even know who I am these days. Like I'm still figuring that out. It like changes a lot. So
As it should.
Yeah. I
yeah,
feel like
and it should.
to echo that, Lynn, I feel the same. But like since you kind of came into our orbit, like since you joined the podcast, since we've all been hanging out, like I feel like a completely different person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We had so many experiences whenever we first met you in the woods or at a spirit circle together or many different things. And it's like, I don't know if it's the 5 of us together and the energy that we're bringing together, but it's like, damn.
Yeah.
I've always thought in my own mind that a lot of it is because we're all striving to get back to oneness, that it's like we finally have a semblance of that here. It's like,
Yes.
like the all the missing pieces. We have enough of the missing pieces now that we can experience some of that,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's not these big gaping holes anymore
Right.
Yeah.
That's all
that
of
we're
our
all trying to
goal.
fill on our own. We have like, if I need X type of energy, then I turn to Brenda because I know that's what she gives me. Or if I need Y type of energy, I send a meme to Aaron and hopefully, sit there and twiddle my thumbs and just, like refresh till he responds.
Like, you know what I mean.
Right. Yeah. Because you get that kind of like give and take of
100%.
what you need in the moment from that particular person.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to say one more thing before I pass it on. I just had the biggest epiphany. I keep getting the 5 of Wands out of the tarot deck.
Oh.
Brenda, when you got me that thing at Christmas with the little ready to go tarot reading, it had the 5 of Wands in it. And there's the 5 of us. And I think that's what it is we're all like, we're using, it's not competition because there's no competition in what we do, but it's like a healthy competition where we encourage each other to like make more of ourselves.
Well, or it's where like,
Yeah.
That's where that damn car's been coming from.
well, or it's like we see, we're now able to see like
Crazy.
what we're, I don't want to say deficient, but like
Right.
what we need in the moment. And it's like, if I need this, I'll be like, oh, I need an afternoon with Cam. That's
Mhm.
exactly what I need. And
Yeah.
We all need an afternoon with
Oh, no.
Cam.
I had an afternoon with Cam yesterday. Y'all go ahead.
I know. I was jelly.
I swear you to secrecy.
She wasn't insider like Brenda, but that's different.
That's a complete different story. So, Brenda.
Kelvin going to cut that. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Who, me?
Yeah. Who is you, girl?
Knock, knock.
Who's there? Brenda Sue.
Brenda Sue.
Jean Jolene Louise the third.
So I'm just going to say, I got 2 things to say before I get started talking about myself. First of all, we are celebrating Chandra's birthday today. So
Gemini energy.
yes, and this will
42.
probably air after her actual birthday,
Yeah.
but I just wanted to give her a shout out.
Mhm.
And also going back to the community thing and how having this community that we have amongst the 5 of us and how much it's helped us grow. It just amazes me sometimes whenever I look at everybody and look at how much each person has grown. Like I thought Lynn was amazing whenever I met her,
Yeah.
but she has grown.
Thank you, Brenda.
Yeah, you and all grow. Love you. I think she's grown so much in the past year, but everybody in this room has grown in their own way over this
100.
this year, but over the 3 years that we've been doing this as well. And I don't know if that's the intentionality of what we're doing and the support that we get from each other. Like when things come up, we can text each other and be like, okay, this is happening. Or like the other day, I was having an existential crisis and feeling real bad about myself. And I sent a message to everybody and I got so many messages of love. And I was like, all right, I'm okay. I can move forward now. I'm not going to beat myself up anymore. So I think the importance of that. And then maybe we should talk about what we're going to be doing as well for local community, because this seems like the perfect time because we're talking about community. Do you mind if I?
Well, no, because it's all about like the reintroduction, because this is kind of where
right.
it started.
Yes.
It wasn't this complete group, but it was the majority of us. And
Right.
it's how we kind of like got one idea and that leapfrog to another idea and that leapfrog to another idea and that leapfrog to a podcast. I mean,
we started in Chandra's kitchen and ended up in Brenda's attic, y'all. You know, where we are coming to you live from right now.
what a journey.
What a journey.
Let us introduce ourselves.
Right. Yeah. So what we're wanting to create with our local community, like I wish we could reach everybody, and who knows, maybe one day we will. Maybe we'll have like an online community that we're able to support, because I don't know that there's anybody doing this in the way that I visualize it, because I can almost see it in my head, but I haven't got the full picture yet. But what we're wanting to do locally is what kind of how we started. We created a circle. And we'd get together, was it once a month or twice a month on Wednesdays?
It was every other Wednesday.
Yeah. And we would do intuitive development exercises. We would learn on each other how to read, how to do healing work, how to do all these things.
We'd sit around and play with pendulums. We would.
Yeah,
whatever.
So we're creating that again. And if you haven't seen the introduction promo stuff yet, we'll check it out. And there'll be a link. It's going to be a very small fee for people to come, because it'll help pay for rent and also help pay our editing costs and things, because it ain't cheap, y'all. And I want to see this community grow and people to create their own communities. Like the people who come together, that they create friendships and create the bonds that we've created, so that they can go out and they're like little flowers that go out and put off their pollen and bring their people to them and bring their little bees in. And then they create their own little circles and their own little communities. And that's what I envision. And that's what I hope that we will be able to create with this Wednesday night group that we're going to do. And it's going to start on June 26th. So if you have any questions about it, just send us a message on DM on the Insta or the Facebook, or email us. But anyway, we're really excited about it. I'm super excited.
So how appropriate is it that Brenda's so excited about bringing the community together, and she's the one that actually brought all of us together?
As we're sitting in a circle again.
Yeah, Brenda is the bringer
Well, I mean,
of communities.
We've told this story a thousand times, but it's still, to me, it never gets old, because it was like, I met Camille through an online class, which we both took online with someone in Arizona, and then ended up that we lived 5 minutes from each other. I met her in IRL, in real life, at Brenda's location where she was working at the time. She's like, "Do you need a massage? Do you ever get massages? If you do, you should call Brenda. She's great. And she works right here." She hands me her card, and I'm like, "I didn't ask. Thank you."
Yeah.
Weird girl.
Synchronicity.
That's right.
But
Trademark. Synchronicities.
But I'm like, okay. But, so I, of course, what do you do? As one does, I book a session, and things just started rolling from there. And for probably a year at that point, I had been trying to do the course that Camille and I took was about intuitive development.
Yeah.
And for a year, I'd been struggling.
As one does.
One does.
To develop my intuition. And I kept thinking, why can't there be a comfortable place where you can go and just talk to people? Like, is this normal? Am I doing it right? How do you do it? What experiences do you have? What experiences do you have where you could just talk about this stuff? And maybe I am experiencing stuff and I'm not even recognizing it because I don't know what it's supposed to be like or what to look for or whatever. And then one day out of the blue, I get this text from Brenda Sue going, "If I decided that I wanted to do a development circle, who would be interested?" And I'm like,
there's that weird girl again.
Yeah.
It was couldn't say yes fast enough, because it was like, "Thank you, Spirit. I've been asking for this for a year. Thank God it's finally, we're going to create this thing."
It's so funny because I was feeling that push to create that, and I'm getting that same push again. It's like Spirit's tapping me on the shoulder, like, "You need to do this. You need to do this." Then we as a group need to do this, because all of us together have so many different gifts, or if you want to call it that. I feel uncomfortable with that word. I think it's everybody has a gift.
It comes through. It's the same energy. It just comes through for each person uniquely, because we're all
different.
Right.
different.
Yeah. So everybody has something to add. So it's not like me trying to come up with something every once a month or twice a month, however often it is we end up doing it. Like, everybody gets to contribute their own part. So everybody who comes to that circle is going to get a unique piece of each of us. And I think that's just so fucking exciting.
I'm so excited. I'm giddy.
No, I am too, because I feel like it's going to be the same, but so different.
Oh, so different.
Because it's like, if we do one on channeled writing,
Yeah.
and Aaron leads it, he may touch someone in that group who's like, oh, that's what I've been doing. I
Right.
didn't even realize that's what it was.
Yep.
Or Lynn talks about Akashic Records and shares maybe what it looks like to her, what she's experiencing. Like, oh, well, that's what that dream, I knew that dream was important. That's what because that's how you learn is you hear someone else's experience and you are able to go, oh, I didn't realize that's what I was doing.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that's how it was coming through for me. And you realize, oh, I am intuitive. I am connected.
Yeah.
Because human wise, we're so programmed to feel like we're not.
Mm-hmm. And Cam with her astrology, I mean, she can help people like understand themselves.
Yeah.
So like
Tell
everybody
people about themselves for sure.
Yes. Everybody has so many
Or
gifts.
just quietly know.
So I guess I should talk about myself for just a quick
Yes.
moment. Like I talk a lot because I'm a Gemini, but I don't know what to say about myself, to be honest with you. I'm a
Should
human.
have took notes.
Yeah, I should have. I'm a human being and I am learning on this journey just like everybody else. And each person, it feels like that comes to me teaches me something, whether it's a client that I'm on Zoom with, it's like things that come up for them are also stuff that I'm going through. Whether it's each individual in this room who helped me to see things in a different way or pull a card for me randomly that helps me. I'm just learning as I go, just like everybody else out there. And I ain't got it figured out yet. So we all going to figure this out together. But what do? I do energy healing work. I'm an intuitive medium. And I recently started working for a friend of mine, contracting, doing readings. And I've been having so much fun with that. Like, because I get to talk to people all over the United States, Canada, even had somebody from Ireland. Like, that was super fun. So it's been so much fun to see how my mediumship is actually developing just because I'm being exposed to so many people that I wouldn't have been before. Right. So I really feel like almost being a medium, intuitive / counselor is kind of like the thing that gives me the most joy. But I'm also in school and I'm doing math this summer and I might die. So
because it is the devil's language and calculators are his tools. You understand?
Yeah.
So if you want a reading from Brenda Sue, book it now because we don't know how long this is going to.
Right.
Speaking of, I know when Chandra sort of mentioned like the origins of meeting Brenda Sue, she is retired from massage therapy. She got the bad hands from it now, y'all. So if you were sitting at home like, I've got a crick in my neck, I'm going to call Brenda Sue. You can't. But she might energetically be able to work it out.
No, she run to mashing on my fat, y'all. But she was good.
It was real good.
So that's all I got to say about me.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Most of you listening right now are probably multitasking. Yep, while you're listening to me talk, you're probably also driving, cleaning, exercising, or maybe even grocery shopping. But if you're not in some kind of moving vehicle, there's something else you can be doing right now. Getting an auto quote from Progressive Insurance. It's easy, and you could save money by doing it right from your phone. Drivers who save by switching to Progressive save nearly $750 on average. And auto customers qualify for an average of 7 discounts. Discounts for having multiple vehicles on your policy, being a homeowner, and more. So just like your favorite podcast, Progressive will be with you 24/7, 365 days a year, so you're protected no matter what. Multitask right now. Quote your car insurance at Progressive.com to join the over 28 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $744 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2022 and May 2023. Potential savings will vary. Discounts not available in all states and situations.
All right. Camille here. Much like Lynn, I've got my notes. I've got a regular old muggle job that I love. I also love the woo, especially astrology. I am not an astrologer or an astrologist, as they call it these days. I'm more of a find out the stuff, observe, sit back type of person. I have been New Age curious since I was a child, and mystical things remain my passion and my hobby. So I feel like I have a foot in each world. And right now I like it that way, but who knows about the future? I met this crew about 6 years ago through a series of mega coincidences, years of funny, bizarre, unsettling events, phenomena, field trips, ups and downs, and Prosecco through the nose laughter. I love them more with each episode. I will always promote their amazing talents. I am perfectly happy right now to be the MC, somewhat of a visionary, sometimes a channeler, astrology lover, and bona fide BFF. Who knows what's going to change, but I'm here on the ground holding your kite strings like a good earth sign, and I love each one of you dearly. Again, my name is Camille. It is damn good to be here. I love where this podcast has gone, and nice to meet y'all. Join us.
We love you, Cam.
Oh, so much. She's so much fun to hang out
And
with.
she didn't mention, but a voice like honey. I mean,
Yeah.
Jesus. Like you could, record an ad for a podiatrist,
Right.
like it would, I'll be like, oh God, I do have a foot problem. I want to go to this doctor now. Like,
How do your toes feel?
like they need a
Oh, I don't know. That sounded kind of saucy if you ask me. Who's selling their
Aries sextuplet.
Who is selling their feet pic?
Girl, no judgment. If you got feet, well, it's funny because my students say all the time, like, Mr. Barringer, you need to do a feet finder if you're going to keep wearing Birkenstocks every day to school. And I'm like, oh my God. And they're like, you make more than teaching. And I'm like, are you channeling right now as an 11-year-old? Are you telling me I need to take feet pics?
And then he goes home and he's typing up OnlyFans, feet, male.
Exactly.
Teacher fetish.
For real.
Oh, God.
Well, before people slip and slide in my DMs asking about feet, let's slip and slide back to Chandra Caroline, girl. Tell us about your
Well, I'm going to channel my new persona,
Chanshar.
Shantia,
Oh, that's right, Shantia.
As one does.
as one does.
That was really wild.
That was wild. So that was just a random text string that we had going on. And I don't even remember how that word came up, but it was like,
I had texted your name, like literally
That's right.
Chandra, and it changed it to like Shantia or Chantia. And same thing with our friend Antonia. Shout out Antonia, love you, girl. It went from Antonia to like Atonia or something. And she was like, that sounds like annoying. She's like, Antonia, no. But
Anyway, LaToya.
it was technology changing names.
right. But it was like, that sounds kind of familiar.
Mhm.
Anywho, but speaking of which, I got a text message. So I looked to see what it was. And as soon as I read the message, the voice record started coming on and it was typing in everything that Camille was saying. And I didn't touch anything
Like just now?
just now,
Straight
And then
to
I-
the gods.
straight to the gods. And then I cleared it out and you said podiatrist and it went podiatrist. I was like, no.
Chandra's foot is fine, guys.
It's like phone off, thrown against the walls.
They're listening.
They're listening.
Take your shoes off and let us see your feet.
Scared.
Okay,
that art.
so y'all can't see this, but Camille just ripped her sock off and held her feet up pretty. And she also has her toenails painted really pretty.
Twirling
So-
that fuzzy sock in the air. Like,
Just
Jungle red.
so you can have a good visual. Go ahead.
And let's just be clear, this is the episode before the Prosecco, just in case.
100%.
anybody
For
was
some.
wondering.
that's right. Her sock said North Carolina. Go like a helicopter.
Da-da-da-da.
I love last.
Da.
I'm so sorry.
Y'all get so wound up.
We do.
Sorry.
But I'm Chandra. I am Brenda's Gemini twin.
Mhm.
So we both share the Gemini season.
The rest of us have a GoFundMe.
Therapy more than anything. I will say that, just like Lynn said, I've never really had a big group of friends. I've always been that kind of person. Like I'd have one best friend, I'd have one really close person and some acquaintances, but I would always be like devoted to that one friend, not intentionally, but that just seemed to be how it worked out. And, of course, as you grow, you outgrow this friend and you grow into someone else. So I've never really had like a group of people that I felt connected to until now. I can't remember if it was Camille or Lynn that I was telling, but it was like, I've also never had a friend group or friends in general that I knew I could depend on, that I knew if they said they were going to do the thing, that I didn't have to worry about it. Like, even when they were really great friends, there was still always that, is it really going to happen?
Same here.
Will
it
they,
really-
won't they?
Will they, won't they? Right. So that has been very new for me. And I'll say it's a part of the healing journey. It's been a little triggering, like getting used to that and not assuming that, well, I just need to wait for the shoe to drop because it's going to drop, you know, and not
self-sabotage, like.
Right. And just kind of like leaning into that. Then like, no, girl, you've got real friends for the first time. You've got people that actually love you that aren't contracted to love you. Family that says they love you and acts accordingly sometimes. But so that's been a wonderful experience, but a very new experience for me coming from this podcast group. And Brenda did send a text message the other day. She and I, a year or so ago, went on a hike and together. And it was one of the first times that I ever like really felt things in the woods. We were walking through and she's like, she could tell that I was kind of not freaking out, but experiencing. And she's like, what are you experiencing? I started talking about it. And she's like, yeah, I get that too. Yeah, I get that too.
Oh.
Yeah, I get that too. And it was
The validation.
it was a really validating, journey for me. And she went to that same place a couple weekends ago and just out of the blue, like texted me from the woods. And she's like, oh, girl, you have grown so much since that day. I just can't. And it was one of those things where, you know, it's like when you gain or lose weight, you see yourself in the mirror every day and you don't really notice it until it's significant.
Yeah.
Right.
Other people have to call it out.
Right.
Yeah.
Other people have to call it out. And I was like, I don't feel any different. You know?
Right.
But then I started like consciously thinking about it and thinking about how I would react to this and how I have this going on now, but it doesn't strike me the same way that it would have a couple of years ago or whatever. And I'm like, oh, she's right. You know, maybe the work is working, you know. So that's been a big part of what's been going on with me here lately. And we're having a conversation not long ago about self-awareness paralysis. Like the more healing work you do, the more you become aware of that needs to be healed, right? And we all know it's a journey and it's an ongoing thing. But I've started kind of getting that nudge and thinking, well, what if that is part of what I'm here to do? Is just not point out someone else's limiting beliefs, but point out that this is a belief and here's what it does and here's how it makes you feel and here's how it made me feel and here's other things that could come about from that. Because it's for probably the last 6 months, there's been this like super awareness within myself of my own bullshit.
Hashtag ascension.
Mm-hmm.
And it sucks.
Right.
You know, because you're tired. Aaron and I've talked about this before. You get tired of feeling broken, and then you keep these things keep revealing themselves to you. But I feel like it's starting to gel in my head. There's work to be done.
Yeah.
Like there's work to be done outside of myself, and that's kind of starting to come together. I'm also contracting for the same friend and doing some readings, and one of the things that's kind of come out of that is when I had my reading with Joanna. The one thing that she told me that really stuck with me is you're a unique channel.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really understand what that meant. And I'm kind of laughing about it. I'm like, of course I am. You know, I'm crazy. Nobody knows what bucket to put me in. Of course, you know, you're unique, you know, weird, crazy, different, you know.
Right.
But the way the readings have started to come into fruition has been, they're more like discussions and guidance. Like, it's like we pull a card and then that starts a conversation rather than most people come to a quote unquote reading for a psychic. They want to be like, well, your sweet grandma Gertrude is coming through and they just want you to know things about them.
Right.
And be able to tell
The diamond is hidden in the bottom drawer behind the nightgown. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
It was Colonel Mustard in the conservatory with a candlestick.
And I feel like the people I do a reading for, we have much bigger breakthroughs when they start talking and then I start talking in response, or we pull another card and it takes us off into a different avenue. And so many times we've had situations where they'll just be talking and something will fly out of my mouth. And it's not a conscious thought. It's not something that I had been listening to them planning to say. And as you know, while I'm sitting there freaking out going, where did that come from? Where Did I offend? What was that?
Because you're not an Aries, so it's shocking.
It's shocking.
Like Melissa Sparrow said one time, I think she described it on our podcast as when you're channeling, which is what you're doing, it's like a burp.
Yeah.
Like you can't control it. It has to come out. It can't be interrupted. Like, and there it is.
And there it is. And they're like, oh my God, I never thought about it like that before. You're so right. And those are the moments. So I feel like the readings that I am doing and that I'm going to be doing are kind of crystallizing in that way to become some kind of form of channeled guidance or whatever.
I've seen people's bullshit and being like, hey, girl, you need to work on that.
Girl, that could be another episode. Instead of the shit I've seen, the bullshit I've seen.
Right?
He's still going to be a dick no matter how many more cards I pull.
Exactly.
Jolene.
Yeah.
Jolene.
For sure.
He ain't your twin flame. He's your lesson, honey.
Mm.
You better get it.
Quickly.
The chapter's in my book, but go ahead.
No doubt. But yeah, so I just feel like there's been a lot of change in the past 3 years, a lot of growth, a lot of learning. Yeah, I realize that I'm also people say you're going to be a lifelong student. Well, yeah, I am, because I can't get enough of like the next class or the next modality or the next, just like adding to that repertoire, because to me, it feels like the more learning that you have, and I'll use the word knowledge, but the more knowledge you gain, the more it all starts to kind of like gel into this vision of actual understanding. Right. And I feel like that's kind of the journey that I've been on for the past 3 years.
And I just want to jump back and say, Aaron was talking about Melissa talking about a burp. It just has to come out. So when I was learning Akashic record reading from her, she said to me, actually, I think we were talking privately at this point, and she said, the Akash doesn't tell you what you want to hear. It tells you what you need to hear. And I started laughing, and I was like, that's what makes me a good reader, is because Aries, I'll say it, y'all. I will say it. And I won't mean to hurt your feelings. I'll deliver it as, nicely as I can, but I'll say it.
100%.
You're not paying for bullshit when you come see you either.
No. I'm going to tell you what they say because it's what you need to hear.
Yes. There's a client.
So be receptive to it.
Please.
Damn it.
Well, and if not, write it down until you are.
Right.
You don't have to understand it or internalize it right now, but this is what you need to know in the moment. So if it's not hidden right now, write it down, because girl, one day it will.
I've had a client I've done 3 readings for, and in his, I asked him, because he'd done several with me, to write kind of like a review so that people could see. And one of the things that he said in there was something to the effect of, how I know Aaron is the real deal is that he tells me things I don't want to hear.
Exactly.
And because it doesn't mean anything to me. I'm just like, okay, they're telling me to say this. So just, kind of sort of buffer and preface it with like incoming. Right.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, like I'm giving him the shadow work stuff, and it felt good.
I think that's what makes us all good readers.
Yeah. I had a client yesterday. I was like, well, your dad wants to tell you something. Are you ready? You better buckle up.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, every reading I start, before I even say a word, I'm like, this is what I've asked Spirit for. It's only the stuff that's for your highest and best, what you need to know today. So if it comes out of my mouth, know that it's coming out of my mouth with love, because once we start, I may not be able to control. I mean, I've asked them to say it in as well received, like I've asked for the best delivery possible. But it still may not be what you want to hear. So just know that I've asked for it to be sent in love, and I've asked for it to be received in love. So here we go.
Speaking of receiving in love, there's a couple of new listeners that we'd like to shout out. So if you're new to us in the past 3 years, we love and appreciate you and are so excited to engage with you guys more, for you to be a part of our community, and for some of you to be a part of our community on the Woo Woo Wednesdays that we're going to be doing in person. And for those of you who are further away, I feel like eventually it's going to turn remote or start like Zoom sessions, things like that. So in the works. But one of them that I want to shout out is Casey, my mother-in-law. I love you, girl. Christian's mom has been listening to our podcast when she gets off work, and she's been dealing with a lot of like work stuff lately. And so at the end of the week, she has been like turning on our podcast and listening to like old episodes and going in order. So I love you so much, Casey. And
hey, Casey.
Hi, Casey.
She's amazing.
Hello, Casey.
We also have a new super witch. Is it Shanda? Is that how you pronounce her name? I'm so excited to meet her at our first Woo Woo event.
Oh, yeah.
Shanda, thank you so much for supporting us and being one of our new super witches. And we love and appreciate each and every one of you who have found this community in the past 3 years. And we hope it's resonating with you and that you're sharing it with people who you think it might resonate with.
Even if you just catch an episode and you're just sitting in your car and you laugh, like we get that energy like that.
Yeah.
You know, that comes back to us and we feel it and we feed it. It feeds us. So thank you as well for just finding what we do entertaining and of some value.
Because if you're listening, you're part of the magic. You're creating it with us.
And we are looking for more magic every single day in our lives.
Every day. Ask Spirit first thing in the morning, ask the universe to bring you some magic.
Yep.
And I'll just side note, sometimes I'm harsh.
Sometimes I'm.
Oh, this is Lynn, by the way. That's so funny. I was like, picked up my notebook to look at something. I was like, oh, it says sometimes I'm harsh. I'm sorry, y'all. I don't mean to be.
It's in love.
It is all in love.
Sometimes the truth is hard to hear.
And because of who I am and like how I present things, like I ask for help in the, you know, like I call on Archangel Gabriel. I'm like, how about
help me with my communication,
help me
please?
with this. But sometimes the person who I am comes through and it sounds kind of rough.
Well, but I feel like
Get your shit together.
Yep.
But I feel like we draw in the people who need what we have.
I think so too.
Like it's, you know, everybody's where they are in their journey and they're in the right spot for them at the right time. And there's no judgment one way or the other. But the people who are in that place where they're serious about, I'm ready to change, I'm ready to grow, I'm ready to get out of whatever I'm in right now, are the type of people that you're particularly, Lynn, are going to attract because you're going to give them the tool to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Honestly, I just say it honestly with no judgment.
Right.
It just sounds harsh. It's not coming from a harsh place.
There feels like there's someone in particular listening right now who's having like an existential crisis moment, maybe similar to what Brenda went through this week, where they feel like they're going crazy, is what I feel. And I don't know why, but I was pulled to this specific like Instagram post that I saw this week. And it's just a simple quote, but I feel like it's for this person and hopefully it resonates with the collective. But you're not going crazy. So the post says, to burn the witch is to admit that magic exists. You are that magic. So we love you. Thank you so much for listening, for being part of our community. We couldn't and wouldn't do it without you. And we can't wait to see those of you in person soon at our Woo Woo Wednesdays, those probably in the near future virtually. And follow us on Instagram, Facebook, share this with folks that you think it might resonate with. And let's keep growing, y'all.
Let's keep growing.
I love that. Peace out.
Love y'all. Bye.
Guys.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us today. Please follow and subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Stitcher, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and leave a review. It's so easy to do and such a huge help for us. We appreciate your interactions so much. Want to join us at our table? Make sure to check out our YouTube channel and join our Facebook community. If you've enjoyed this content and wish to support us, take a look at our Patreon page. All information and links will be in our podcast description. Catch you next time.
This podcast is part of the Sound Advice FM network. Sound Advice FM. Women's voices amplified.